Okay, so we'll start Azure fundamentals. So the first what we are going to discuss is the basics of Microsoft Azure using Azure fundamentals. Hope everyone can see the screen clearly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this is AC 900. So one exam directly targeted toward Azure fundamentals. So it's a kind of a recommended exam and it's kind of easy exam to get started with. Then afterward, based on the your path, I will discuss those as well. Like let's say you are going in a data direction, even DevOps developers, like there are multiple areas. So based on that, you can take the relevant exams and relevant courses. But Azure Fundamentals is kind of a stepping stone into all these areas and gives you like a broad understanding about the Azure platform and how you can use each of these services in a more high level kind of understanding. There we get like a lot of basics foundation. Then afterward, what you can do is you can go and select different paths based on your requirements, and then we can explore those as well. Okay, so in here, the Azure fundamentals, first thing we are going to discuss is the cloud concepts. What are the type of clouds, and we are going to discuss like what are the areas of clouds that is available. Then we are going to discuss core Azure services. So because in terms of Azure, there are like over 400 services. So even if you follow all the courses, only you can go for all the like in-depth knowledge about this service. But here we are going to look at like a high-level understanding also in the practical terms, like how you can use what are the basic type of services and how you can create each of these services and what are the steps involved in these services, and also like how you can manage these services in terms of resources, Azure, how what are the pricing involved in these services. All these things we are going to look at in core Azure services. So here we are going to discuss like all the important related Azure services in theory and also in practical while creating Azure in Azure environment. Then we are going to look at some of the security, privacy, compliance, and trust kind of areas. This is more of a high level kind of a topic where we discuss some of the security guidelines, privacy kind of scenarios, different compliances. Let's say, for example, you are the client you are targeting is in let's say Germany. Then you need to bound by EU regulations. So you cannot. So then you need to look at what are the regulations in that country and what are the governance data structures in the EU, and based on that only you need to implement your solutions, right? So by default Azure support in terms of compliance and all this, but also your solution also you need to manage those areas as well. So there are many things that is provided in Azure to manage these things as well. When you are building these things, we will look at step by step. Then Azure pricing and support. So that is also a really important area because with this we can manage the cost in our services, right? Because some of the services are expensive because it's how we are going to use, right? So based on the usages, this pricing can be different because each of the services is unique on its own. So based on the different type of usage, your pricing is going to be different. So there's a really nice tool called Azure Pricing Calculator. Using that, we can budget, like let's say we are going to do a certain project. Then initially we can budget and see like for 1 year, this will be our average cost, right? Because then you can put that into overall budget in your application. Like when you're doing a project, you know, like there's a Azure costing part. Then you can budget that kind of a costing, and if they have a certain budget, if the client have a certain budget, then also we can match with that budget based on their requirement, right? So it's a mix and match between the requirement as well as a budget, right? Because for example, you know, like if the budget is high, we can get the most highest kind of features in all the requirements. If the budget is low, then we need to find out the solution that match with their client's budget. So the Azure pricing gives you that kind of a really good view, and there are a lot of tools in the Azure also, like Azure cost management like tools that gives you like alerts. Let's say our target is $1,000 per month, then if they are going over 1,000, it will gives you alert. Also, there are some prediction kind of a alerting as well. Like let's say it will show like next week you are going to over the threshold. Then again you can take some activity to reduce that as well. So in that we are going to look at those areas in module 4. So this is fundamentally is like the basic stepping stone into the Azure, where we're going to look at cloud computing in terms of public, private, and hybrid, and also the type of services like infrastructure, platform, and software. So these are the popular areas that we can use. We can use infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or the software as a service. So we are going to look at those areas also. So based on that also we can select our services and Azure pricing and supporting options as well. So this is suitable for the technical and non-technical background. We are getting started with the Azure products and the product solution and services. So there's no prerequisites to take this course. So this is the how you can these are the things that the exam after the course you can take the exam. So these are the things that they match in the exam. This is a weight. You can see the right side the weight for each area. So the highest weight is getting for the understanding core Azure services. Then equal weights for the security, privacy, and the pricing part. Then for the basic, the concepts part, only around 15 to 20%. So this will be like MCQ question. You need to select from like 4 options. So around 1.5 hours. You can now do this now online at home as well. So no need to go for exam center. It used to be like exam center, but now you can do it at home. You need to select the proper answer. So it will sometimes be from the practical kind of a knowledge as well, but in the Azure fundamentals it's not that much into that scope. There are only few practical kind of questions going to ask in Azure fundamentals exam. So here we'll do some practicals in that. So make sure you have a Azure account. You can create a free account using this URL. Only thing is like you need to put your like credit card or debit card works, otherwise credit card, but do not worry, like it won't charge. You will get $200 free in that account. So we can so for entire even course it will cost around less than $50. So your $200 is more than enough for the course. So if you have any questions also in the during the class, you can ask as well. Okay, so Microsoft Azure Cloud. So let's continue. Here these are the learning objectives. So why cloud services, right? So these are the some of the things that is we can get from cloud service. The things like high availability, scalability, agility, right? Security, global reach, right? Because if you are other than cloud, what we have the other options we need to do on our own, right? So we need to have our own server, and then we need to build everything in our server environment, right? They need to manage everything from ground zero. You need to have a large network team to manage these things, and your device cost and everything going to be super expensive. But here you don't need to do anything. You pay for what you are going to use, right? You are not paying for anything. Like for example, let's say we create a Azure VM. So when you create a VM on that point, it will charge only a couple of cents, right? It's not going to charge $10 or $20 something. It's just a couple of cents. Only you are going to pay for what you are using. Let's say I'm using VM for 1 hour, then you pay only for 1 hour, right? Then you can, after 1 hour, you can shut down the machine. Then you don't need to pay. There's a small amount for the resource creation, but it's in cents values. But average, let's say for example, per 1 month, you use the VM like 1 hour per day. So that means 30 hours per month, right? In that context, it will be like 0.1 into 3, around $3, right? So around $3 per month, you can use a VM that is 1 hours per day. So likewise, it's really flexible. You don't need to pay for the entire thing. So then you need to know what are the services that use this capabilities, right? So it's really good for small companies, mid-scale, even large scale, based on their usage, because if you look at small and mid-scale companies, they do not have resources to go into cloud. They don't have resource to like build the services on their own. So going to cloud will save a lot of money for them. Then in the large scale companies, they can reach reach the users all over the world much more easily. And other thing is backups, disaster recovery. Let's say we have our server in a company premise, then if there's a disaster, earthquake, or some disaster, fire or something, then your entire data is gone. So here they will like use you 99% 9 SLA. So there's no server downtime. You can like backup also your data. They will do all these guarantees for your data. So then you don't need to worry about that, because let's say even in Microsoft Azure, these are actually servers, right? That they also need to maintain. There's a team that managing this. So let's say there's a physical damage to that server. Let's say we have a data, like let's say data center in US, one region. There's actual damage like earthquake. Then what they do? So internally they do backups of that into other region, right? So likewise, they have fault tolerance also in their server environment as well. So likewise, we don't need to worry like that much when we are working with that. So these are some of the key terms. So some of these things actually you can apply for not only for Azure, because in this the first few slides are just the core concepts of cloud computing. So that is automatically apply for not only Azure, also for AWS, Google Cloud, right? Oracle Cloud, any cloud, you can directly apply, because all clouds have these similar capabilities, right? Then security, because you are using the high-end security when you are signing in or when you are creating your access, right? So that is also another kind of a thing. If you build your own application, you need to set up your own security, right? Your data security, application security, right? Then scalability. Let's say automatically your application go to 1 million users, then your database can crash, right? Or system can crash. But here you can automatically scale up or scale down based on the usage. So likewise, there are many advantages of the cloud, right? Economy of scale, right? So mostly you can see this even for small scale into the larger scale, it supports. So you don't need to worry about like whether if I am going to grow my system, like, or the data, you only pay for that percentage of the usage, right? You are not paying for the everything. So that is another plus point in that. So you can scale whatever the percentage you want. Let's say for example in a VM, I'm getting example on VM. So in the VM, we can create a VM with let's say 128 GB of RAM, right? So can you create a machine in that? Like in a real world, it's really difficult, right? Even you cannot buy a machine in that kind of a RAM. So it's not like you can buy, but it's really going to be super expensive, right? But here within 1 minute, we can create a super powerful machine. Let's say we use that machine for 1 hour. Again, you don't need to pay that much. Just like $4, $5, something like that, in that kind of a high performance. But otherwise, small scale machine is just like a couple of cents per hour, right? So likewise, you use the economy of scale. That means you use for like a high end only, let's say, but let's say your application is working really well, multiple like millions of users going to use your application or going to access your data, then it's a different story, right? Then in that time, the application need more bandwidth, more accessibility, more reachability, like that. Then again, Azure can support that as well, because they have in multiple regions, your users are from all over the world, right? Then again, having a server in one location, you cannot do that as well. So that's why for any type of scale, for the smaller to bigger, cloud computing is really good. So not only Azure cloud, even AWS, Google, every cloud do the same kind of benefits when you are using this kind of a techniques. Then capital expenditure is on the physical infrastructure is deducted, because you don't have any capital expenditure. You don't need to pay anything upfront, right? You are not paying anything, right? Even let's say a traditional hosting environment, if you get a hosting package also, you need to pay like a yearly subscription, right? Most of the cases. But here you don't pay that as well, because to create a service, you don't charge, like it's like a charge, but it's only a couple of cents. There are only few services that charge actually over $10 or something. But other than that, most of the services don't charge at least a $1 just to create a service. But when you can start consuming and do some operation, it will start to charge. So that's why is called no operation upfront cost, pay as you use. So you are paying for the usage. There's no upfront cost. Most of the services, there's no cost at all to create a service. It's completely free. Or there could be like a couple of cents, but it's really good for small companies to big companies to use this, because it's easy to use. Like we are using like a lot of free tools, right? Then after some certain point of time, we need to pay some small subscription or something. So like that, most of these cloud services are easy to start with. You don't need to pay anything to get started with. But they ask the credit card just to create an account. Why? Because by mistake, if you create a service and if you forgot to stop or delete the service, then it's try to consume something in the background, then it will charge. That's why they ask to put the credit card. So when you're creating these services, you need to know like what are the services that are going to charge, all these things. So that's where the pricing things are going to be really important. So you can see, as I mentioned, consumption-based model. So you will pay for the resources that you are going to use, right? So other than that, you don't need to pay anything. So everything is clearly visible. There's no hidden charge at all, right? Everything is visible. Like what are the things you have created, you can see everything in the resource manager. So when you are doing demos and practicals, you can see where we can see all the services and resources. So then you can exactly see what are the pricings and what kind of calculations going to happen. If I have these 2-3 services, then I can get a rough idea, like it's going to cost this much of amount for a 1 month, right? So you get a clear picture, right? They don't charge like there's no to create account or to having these services, they don't charge like that. It's only for consumption based, right? Each of the service is unique. For example, if you look at Azure Functions, it charges for triggering a function, right? If you look at Azure Storage, it's charged for the storage. Likewise, it's based on the different type of service or the technique that you are going to use, right? Then we are going to look at type of cloud models. So there are different type of cloud models. One model is called public model. So the public model is available for everyone to use it, right? Using public model, what you can do is like everyone can access. So for example, if you go to portal.azure.com, that is the public cloud, right? Portal.azure.com, that is the public cloud. Using that, everyone can access, right? Even inside the public cloud, we can create private environments and private network. That is possible. But typically over the internet, we use the public cloud, right? That is called a public cloud. But in some cases, companies require private cloud. For example, if the data is much secure, they do not want to send the data to somewhere else, right? They want to go for the private cloud. So for that, they have some sort of a data environment, some sort of a data center in the organization as well. So they will integrate the Azure stack into the private cloud, right? So it behaves very much like Azure, but actually your services and everything is inside the organization. It will not go outside the organization. That is called private cloud, right? So we cannot directly access this. Is within the organization, and you need to directly contact Microsoft in order to set up this. So they will set up your own infrastructure with the Azure services. So the benefit is you get to use all the Azure services and your data is inside the organization. It will not go outside, right? Then some organization go for hybrid cloud. So hybrid cloud is a combination of private and public, right? So there are some part of the application, they use the public part. Then some part of the application, they use the private cloud. So based on that also, that is another approach, right? So that is also some companies go for that also. If you have any questions, you can ask here. Any questions? No, right? Questions you can ask. Okay, right? So the hybrid cloud is like a combination of both, right? So that is also you need to understand. Again, let's say you are taking a project from a client, then they might have, based on this scenario, they look for a private cloud project, they look for a hybrid cloud. Then also you need to look at like how we are going to set up these things, right? So you don't need to set up infrastructure side or those things. Those are handled by Microsoft. They are the one actually setting up. Without their authorization, we cannot do anything. So they are the ones setting up the private and hybrid clouds, because they without their permission, company cannot do this on your own. Only public cloud we can like directly access and do whatever the things like inside the services. But other than that, these scenarios actually need to get direct support from Microsoft, and they need to set up this in the organization. Then after that, we can access this and we can use their services just like you are using public services, right? Without a permission, these two are not possible for a direct consumer. So these are direct permission from the Microsoft. So some companies go for hybrid cloud, which is combination of private and public cloud. So cloud model comparison. So you can see some of the comparison. Public cloud, you can see you don't need to buy new server setup. Its agility application can be accessible easily, consumption based model. Organization pay for their use, right? So there's no direct like you don't need to maintain servers or anything. Everything is managed by the Microsoft Azure environment. So you pay for what you are going to use. It's really cost effective as well. Let's say your monthly budget is $100, so we can manage our services up to $100 based on the usage. But private cloud, as we mentioned earlier, is purely control and security. Organizations have complete control over the resources, and also they have complete control over the security as well, right? So only thing you are getting is the Azure services that we are discussing. All the services are there, but all the thing installed inside the network, right? That is a private cloud. So the hybrid cloud, you get the both worlds. That's the main idea about the hybrid cloud. You get the both worlds. You get the flexibility, which is easy to set up, and this application that can run on both private and public. And you get the compliances, organizers maintain some security compliances that is also you can maintain because of the private part, right? So you have the private part as well as the public part joined together in the hybrid cloud, right? So those are the main three areas you need to identify when you're working with these cloud environments. Then we look at type of cloud services. So it's really important to know these three different type of cloud services. I think maybe you heard these names: IaaS, infrastructure as a service. So infrastructure as a service is, you can see you are getting the entire infrastructure. That means your server, network, everything you can set up in the cloud, right? You can set up a server, you can set up a network, you can set up firewall, you can set up everything into the infrastructure level in your network, right? So that is mostly to the admin side. So there's a separate course also to this area, which is Azure administrator, AC 105, I guess. Yeah, Azure administrator. So in that you get to experience, like you get to set up like all the networking related things. So you can set up your own organization network in the Azure cloud, right? Based on your requirement, you can set up your own organizational network in your Azure environment. So in that, we are going to discuss all the networking related Azure services, right? So that is the entire infrastructure, right? That is we call infrastructure as a service. The next one is a platform as a service. So in that you can see you have infrastructure as a service. On top of that, you have the platform as a service. So this is mostly for the developer related environments where you can use the platform as a service. Using platform as a service, what you can do is you can get all the benefits of the platform, like platform developments. I can get a pen or something. Yeah. So in the platform as a service, you can get all the development kind of tools, right? So you get database tools, data tools, business analytics. So most the database developers, the data level, the application developers or the software developers are reside in this area in the platform as a service. Because in there, you can see infrastructure is already there, right? Infrastructure is already there. What we are discussing is the development tools and the operating system, right? That is the thing we are discussing in this, right? So that is that area which is infrastructure as a service. So, okay. Then the last one is a software as a service. So software as a service puts on top of the all two, right? On top of all two infrastructure platform. That is a software as a service where we can see here yeah, software as a service, like good example like Office 365 or Teams, where we use a subscription base, right? It's good for the business user where they can build the application on top of that. So I think maybe you heard technology called Microsoft Power Platform. So using Power Platform, we can easily we can build these applications, right? We can create these applications much more easily using Microsoft Power Platform. So that is another plus point of using this. So this is really good for the business user, right? So they can like easily configure the tool. Then they can the user can easily use that, right? Then they don't need to develop anything as well. These are mostly drag and drop tools, right? Mostly drag and drop tools. So you don't need to use any coding environment or anything. These are mostly drag and drop tools where you can easily use this and you can easily build from this as well, right? So it's really important to understand these three areas: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service, right? So these are entirely three different areas. Based on your job role, it will be different. So if you are an admin, network administrator, infrastructure engineer, that kind of a area, you will go for the this one, infrastructure as a service, right? You will go for the infrastructure as a service in that area. The main thing is the flexibility. You can set up your own hardware network configuration, right? But if you are a developer, database developer, application developer, even DevOps engineer, all these areas, AI developer, AI engineer, all these areas, you go to the platform as a service because you are working in some kind of a tool, maybe SQL Server, or maybe Visual Studio. So any kind of a tool you are going to work with, right? Then software as a service is a pay as you go pricing model where it's good for the business user, right? Maybe Office 365, maybe like in Office 365, you know, we have now Excel, all the Office softwares. Then there's a new area called Microsoft Power Platform. So everything is runs in the software as a service. That is for the users pay for the subscription model, right? It will be monthly, yearly, likewise. So that is another area. So there are services in Azure for all these areas, right? There are services in the Azure for all these areas that we can use. So you can see how these things are placed in this diagram. So if you have everything in on-premise, you can see if you have everything in the on-premise, you need to manage everything, right? You need to manage everything in the on-premise. Let's say infrastructure as a service. If you are using Azure for the infrastructure as a service, you need to set up this, right? You need to set up the networking, storage, servers, virtualization. So if you are using platform as a service, you will get set up to here, right? You will set up to here. So the up to here it will be providing, right? So infrastructure as a service you will get up to here. Platform as a service you will get up to here. Software as a service you get everything because you are working in a software layer. It's just a business application, right? So likewise you can see how these things are different based on the service you are going to use, right? You can use either infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service. So in your case, mostly you are going to falls in this area, platform as a service, where you are going to use like database tools, data related tools, AI tools, application development tools. So all are going into the platform as a service, right? For the networking related engineers, networking side, it will go to the infrastructure as a service. For the Excel, Office, or the Power Platform kind of users, it will go to the software as a service, right? But still everything is in the cloud where we can look at in the fundamentals area. But then depend on the job role, depend on the type of task you are going to do in your job role, it will switch into a particular area as well, right?